Transportation Board voted on the 5-year plan, to which our plan was our project was a part of it, and yeah, we were included on the, I think it's about $36.2 million, and that comes on the back end of the plan, so in 2020. And you know, what we try and accomplish now is how do we get that accelerated through partners and Tiger grants and things like that. So anything we can do to move that construction up, that's the goal. So basically what happens now is the money that the city has put in, as well as partnerships and things and money from other partners, our job is now to start the different phases. There are 3 phases to this plan, and phase 1 and phase 2 are somewhat interchangeable. Phase 1 is really moving the Amtrak station, okay, and moving that to Edison, over by the new fire station. Phase 2 is realigning Honeycutt Road, and phase 3 is the actual construction of the bridge. The construction itself is so quick. I mean, like I said, you're in this project for 15 years, and all of a sudden, you know, the bridge gets thrown up. And I don't mean to say that it's shoddy workmanship, but at the end of the day, the bridge can be done in 18 months. You know, maybe 24, but 18 months, you're done. That's the easy part. The construction's the actual easy part. It's all the stuff that goes into it beforehand. That's the hard part. People always say, well, why does it take 5 years? Well, it's taken us 10 years to get funding. You know, I mean, it's just roadways, and the dollars that go into it are very, very tough to come by. And in this economy, especially in a post-recessionary world, they're even harder to get. Clearly, myself and Kelly and Akchen and others, we've really tried to step up the knowledge to the people as to what goes into it prior to. And I'll be the first to admit, until I started diving into this to the extent that I didn't know what went into a road. You know, it was something you have to learn about. When you see the 202 get constructed, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm so glad they finally did this. We needed this. It was 20 years ago they started talking about it. 20 years ago they started raising funds. 20 years ago, you know, they put measures on the ballot to raise those funds. 20 years ago they had to do the environmental studies and, you know, make sure that city councils didn't allow for stuff to be built in that right of way. It takes a lot of behind the scenes preparatory work to get to the ultimate desire. You know, the way we think about transportation has to change. One of the things people don't understand is I love economic development. I love it. It's the thing that I promote, and as mayor I try and get out there and bring businesses here 24/7. That's what I do. But to that end, I can't make somebody come, I can't make somebody build. I can only entice them. And so my job is to say, okay, now let's put in the rest of the pieces. And so often the missing link to economic development is transportation. You have to be able to get places. You have to be able to get people to and from their homes. They have to feel like they can do it in a time frame that doesn't take away from their families. And so 2/3 of the city will someday sit south of the tracks. So you cannot have an hourglass shaped city with a pinch point being the Union Pacific Railroad. At the end of the day, it's about having a big picture. When you look at the general plan for Maricopa, what we have now north of the tracks is only 1/3 of what the city can someday become. And so when you look at our general planning area, it goes all the way to the I-8. We touch Casa Grande on the east, and we touch Goodyear on the west. You know, what I say to the Heritage District folks is that, you know, we support keeping things as best as we can the way you used to see them and know them. And yet at the same time, if there's ways in which we can better your lifestyle and better your life through economic development and, you know, just in general a thriving economy here, well, I think that really helps everybody. And I always refer back to former Vice Mayor Edward Farrell. You know, I remember his stories about him sitting at people's tables and talking about how things weren't going to change, and that's what got people to support the incorporation of this city. Yet at the same time, we have to look how progress meets old world, right? And that progress is the nature of where the train tracks sit, the nature of the way the 347 is the lifeblood. It's the artery that moves the city of Maricopa backwards and forwards. It is what supplies the entire southern half of what Maricopa will someday become. So you cannot leave it as is. It has to change if it's going to be successful. One of the things that people don't understand is that there are a lot of projects in this state that all are asking the State Board of Transportation for funding for. And I mean, there's hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds, thousands even, of projects that people want to see done, or improved, or you know, made better, or easier flowing, or whatever the case might be. Well, there's just simply not enough money to go around, so you have to prioritize the priorities. I-11 is a dream of mine that since I very first heard about it, I thought, wow, this is something we need to get on board with and we need to help pursue. Because the designation right now from Congress is from Vegas to Wickenburg. It's not even to Phoenix, it's to Wickenburg. Okay? And the reason is once they got to Wickenburg, they said, well, we don't know which way it's going to go. We know it's got to come up from Nogales. We know it's got to go past us onto Wickenburg, but it's got to come through us. MAG has done all these studies that show this is the most ideal route, but the problem with that is that you have to construct new road. And when you construct new road, you get new right-of-way you have to take, you have to build, have more money to build it. So you have some people saying, well, we want it to go this other route that's already existing. Let's say, Highway 8 over to 85 and up. Well, that's great, but the truckers already don't use that route. They don't like that route. We need additional freeways, in my opinion, not existing ones that aren't used. When businesses look to come to an area, they always ask, well, what are the traffic counts? What is the surrounding area? Well, if we can have I-11 coming through Maricopa saying, hey, we've got the direct route from Las Vegas to Nogales, where the trade is coming in, that's $22 billion in commerce coming up that road, and it's coming right through Maricopa. Guess what it's going to do for us? It's going to change our economic dynamic picture in a way that we've never comprehended. And that's the vision, that's why you have to push for transportation. It's why I always say that transportation is the missing link to economic development.